Is the top in? Is it over? Many people have been asking me recently because of all this volatility that we see in the market. A lot of people get nervous and they ask me, Alex, is the top already in? Why is this bull market different? And in this video, I want to speak about the market cycle theory for Bitcoin. And I want to show you exactly where we are right now in the cycle and why this could just be a dump before we go to new all-time highs. But on the other hand, we also need to consider that this could actually be the end of the bull market. There's a lot to cover in this episode, so let's start right into it. All right, since this episode is very much focused on pricing, we will look at the Bitcoin US dollar chart. This is the most frequently looked at chart that people are using. And I've already drawn certain things here for you. What I'm looking here is the index. So if you want to search that one yourself on TradingView, you go there, you type BTC USD, and then you take historical index, because this is the one that shows you the prices all the way back to 2009-10, where Bitcoin the first time got prices on a secondary market where it was sold on Mt. Gox and some other strange places back in the days. So this is very important because here we can see all the Bitcoin cycles actually, and we will start looking at them right now. So when you look at it, what I also did, I put in here the halvings. So the halvings are at the exact date where they're supposed to be. Where you see here the last halving actually occurred on the 20th of April 2024. And and then we will move into the weekly chart, because here you will see that actually what is happening right now in Bitcoin is not very surprising. It rather is so hard for us to take because of this insane bull market that we have seen so far. And many of you, I know that from speaking with friends, have not been here as long as I was and as earlier birds basically were in crypto, but they joined somewhere here in 2019, 2020, and they have only seen this weird bull market that we saw last time. And many people that have been here longer think that this bull market was weird for many reasons. It has this double top, which is not like the other tops before. And also it was moving up so early. So we saw, as you remember, if you were here in 2021, you know that when Elon Musk basically put Bitcoin in his bio, it was somewhere like here. I think it was this weird candle here. And that kind of accelerated everything to go up even more. And then we landed at this early top in the end of March or middle of April, which was only topped slightly in November 2021. But you guys remember, or you have maybe seen it, that it doesn't look like an actual top on all the other indicators. It's only the price that it saw a bit higher than the top that we had earlier in this year. So if you look at, for instance, the RSI that I have here on the bottom, you see that it had a very strong divergence. So you could have seen that this high is so much lower. Look, it just reached an RSI of like 68 or something on the weekly chart. So this is very, very different what happened here. And in the later part of this episode, I will also explain to you why probably the logical height would have been somewhere just close to 100,000, probably somewhere below here. But this is not what happened. So let's zoom out a bit and look back where we actually are right now in the cycle. So where we are in the beginning of February is here, and we did not live through this year here, like 49 weeks or something, or 343 days. This number is significant because that would be the exact same number that we passed until we reached this height here, which was the logical first height from the last bull market. So we are getting close to it, but we are not totally there yet. And if you look back in the cycles, usually, let's start from the very beginning, after the halving, it took exactly 1 year to reach this first height here in the December of 2020 of 2013. And it had an insane rally from here, which was somewhere below this all-time high. And then it rallied up all the way here to 8,000% or something. You can see yourself. Then when we look to the next one, and the next one is when you do look at these cycle repeat patterns, you see that the current bull market looks most like this one. It doesn't look like this one and not like this one either, but it looks mostly like this one here. And in this 2017 bull market, it took us much, much longer until the height was reached after the halving. It didn't take 1 year. It took 75 weeks or 525 days. So looking here at the halving, we haven't reached the all-time high yet at this point. We just crashed it somewhere here in the early days of 2017. So you see on beginning of February, we were still trading below this all-time high from 2013. And that is the cycle length that was the longest so far. Then we have the cycle here, and this is very interesting because we had a mixture of both cycles in the third one, basically. We started later, but then we increased very, very strongly, and we reached this first peak after not even a year. So we were even faster than here in the very first cycle. We reached this height already, but then we moved on and we struggled here to regain the all-time high here, and until we reached the November one. And the November one we reached after 78 weeks or 546 days. So looking at this here, you see that pattern or some benchmarks that we can use for predicting this cycle that we are currently in. And looking at this, we see that we still haven't even passed this first very, very early all-time high. But, and this is very important to say, we are much, much above this all-time high from here. So in contrast to other cycles where we started to break through the all-time highs here, for instance, we started to break through it in a similar time, but then we increased so fast and so early that we couldn't hold it and had to break down again. And this was, as some remember, this Wyckoff distribution pattern here, and many were fooled into that it will go higher, but it actually didn't. It went down here, and then it just made this one attempt to get above, and then we started this terrible bear market, as most of you remember. But if you see here, volatility has very much decreased since then. If we look at the Bitcoin volatility, we see we had much steadier gains. I think some analysts posted that recently on X that we had the longest period of Bitcoin where we didn't correct for 30% or more ever in history in this period here, because we had only these very, very small declines here. So looking at all these numbers here, I want to anticipate by averaging at what time this high could be or most likely will appear. And if we look at this bull market, we certainly have a bit of time until like September or something to have the all-time high occur. For this one, we would be already there very, very soon. And for this one, even sooner. So I have already drawn it here roughly at this time, like end of March should be when the all-time high happens if we have a scenario like last bull run. However, we can also take this average. So from these two peaks here, we take the average, which is about 440 days, right? And interestingly, the average of these two is about the same. So altogether, we have an average of about 440 days that we can say somewhere here in the middle when this top should appear. So let's look what we say when we reach this. 441 days would be here. So it would be somewhere here, end of June, beginning of July, which is before that, I would not get nervous. Before that, I would chill. And I already drew this here for you. You see this pattern. I actually took it from somewhere in the past and I copied it. I think it was from here, right? So you see we had a big dump beginning of March. We had a big dump. And this is when the big dump in 17 happened. And we had more of these dumps. When you look into it, you see it dumped here 30+%. Already in January, it dumped from this peak 30+%. And here, if you see June, we dumped 40%. So yeah, measure it from the high. I didn't really get that. So we dumped 40%. And this happened again here. So this is what you are into for Bitcoin. If you are nervous from this volatility, you should immediately sell. Sell your Bitcoin, go back to stock market, because this is where juicy gains are made. But for these juicy gains, you need to have your nerves ready for these setbacks. And I copied that pattern here. And coincidentally, it would be roughly where the 50-week moving average is. So if we see a prolonged sell-off now, it could go down here. So my worst case scenario right now, and this is where I say Bitcoin story is still in place. We're still moving upwards. We're still filling this cycle like we always did. It would be around 77K. If we go below this level, I would be getting scared myself. But before that happens, we are completely in plan. And I will show you something more in a moment where you see that we are completely in this plan of moving higher. So this is the dump that we saw back in the days at this time here. So we saw much higher highs very soon after it. And if we see this, everybody will stand there again and faces will melt and nobody will be in, because people will be on the sidelines. They will maybe sell down here if this happens, and then it will pump without them to 150, 160K. If we have this cycle like last time, then this could be the top. This could certainly be the top. We could see a top at around 160,000. However, if we have this more 2017 scenario, we will most likely have a cycle much longer. And it would mean that we go even higher here and probably touch like 180 or 200,000. But this is something I don't want to predict right now. I think for you, the most important thing to understand is that there are certain factors in Bitcoin which are more important than price. And these more important factors than price is definitely timing here, because you see that Bitcoin hasn't had time to even price in the whole story of this cycle yet. And we are super early still. The most profitable months are likely to come here, maybe a bit longer. But in autumn, I would say autumn is the time when you should be looking to take off your positions from your chips from the table. However, there is one thing on the sidelines as well, which is the potential economic crisis through tariffs and all these things happening right now. We do not know which effects all the macroeconomics will have on the crypto market, because Bitcoin has not seen a real crisis yet. You remember it started right after the economic crisis, the great financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. It really started after it, so we do not know how it will behave. But one more thing, as I promised, I will show you here and this is the Bitcoin power law after Giovanni Santos Stasi, the physicist who figured out that Bitcoin is actually moving in like a power law, or the price is behaving like a power law, and it is always connected to the time and to the amount of wallets and so on that are active on Bitcoin. And this power law predicts Bitcoin price in the future, and it has done this very accurately. The lower bonds, especially, which he calls supporty, the red ones, they have been super accurate mathematically, and the linear regression fit in the middle. The tops, what he says himself, they are just a regression that is aligned here on top, a decay function. But yeah, it is not really too accurate. This is also why last time it did not reach that. But the power law would have predicted Bitcoin to reach probably around 100K already last cycle, and then it dropped because of all the things that happened. But right now we are right on track in the middle of this power law, and we most likely, and I think this is what we should expect from Bitcoin, we will most likely go much higher from here, because this is what we should expect it to overshoot it. And I think Giovanni says something like 200,000 would be very likely. This is just very conservatively, actually, because we could see in later this year, in September, October, according to this power law upper band, a price of almost 500,000 in Bitcoin. But yeah, long story short, we are not at the end of this cycle yet. And now I will show you what I am doing, because I'm selling Bitcoin, and I'm selling Bitcoin for ETH or for other crypto assets. Because if you look at this, and I made a video on this, how to buy Bitcoin 80% cheaper, I link it up here, and it's still super accurate. If you did that with Cardano, for instance, you would be up, and you would just need to wait until you can take the whole Bitcoin for you. Here for Ethereum, it looks a bit worse at the moment. Ethereum is so undervalued that I am personally taking a position now. I'm swapping some Bitcoin into Ether, because I believe that Ether really saw the lower end of its Bitcoin valuation now, and it will return to test these highs here, and I will increase my Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. I hope you do your thing, and if you like this content, make sure you hit down the like button and you subscribe to my channel. Also, YouTube believes that you like this video or this video, so check it out, and I wish you all the best. Your Alex.